LAX, along with several dignitaries there. Haley, can you hear me?
Hey there, Bobby. Yes, I can hear you. This is very, very exciting. You know, you've seen pictures of Air Force One so many times, but to see it in person with all of these very important, powerful people, it's pretty cool. We just saw Mayor Garcetti and Governor Newsom, who are here. And as you see Air Force One pulling in on the tarmac here at LAX, President Biden expected to get out any minute. Now, the weather is a little bit iffy. It's up in the air, literally, whether he's going to get in Marine One, the helicopter, and fly to Hollywood, or if they're going to drive in the limo. So they do have the engines on for Marine One and the decoy. That's the plan, but we will see what happens. So the plan is for President Biden to get out. He will go into Marine One with his Secret Service and some of his senior staff, and then in the backup chopper will be more of his staff and some of the senior staff. So as you see Air Force One passing by this retrofit Boeing 747, it's really remarkable. More than 230 feet long. It's got 4 engines and go about 630 miles per hour. And of course, the president is on board to host the Summit of the Americas. This is the first time that the U.S. city has hosted the event since the inaugural conference back in 1994 in Miami. He will join his wife, the First Lady, who is already here. She was here last night giving a commencement speech. Kamala Harris, the Vice President, also already in town. All 3 of them will be here throughout the week, which will create a traffic nightmare for everyone going around town. Even if they take the helicopter, they're still going to have to get all of the Secret Service and their special guests and everything around town. So their first stop is to tape with Jimmy Kimmel at about 2:30 this afternoon. That's going to air tonight. And he's expected to talk about policy. And then he will be heading to...
It honestly really is awe-inspiring to see this, Haley, no matter which side of the aisle or whatever aisle you're on. When you see Air Force One land there at LAX and see the president coming out, it is a pretty cool thing to see. So we're going to stick with this picture with you right now. And I think we do finally have Alex Michelson, who, as I said, has been shadowing Vice President Kamala Harris as she's been making her way through the Summit of Americas. I know you went through this Secret Service security sweep. Can you set the stage for us now? You've been covering the Summit of the Americas. You know, a lot of the headlines here, lots of world leaders here, 23 different countries represented, but also another big headline are some of the countries that are not represented here decided to snub this event.
Yeah, well, that is a good point. Let's just give you some context of where we are right now before I talk about that. So we're in Monrovia. Right over there is the Dream Big Children's Center. This is where the Vice President is headed, expected to be here maybe within the next 10 minutes. This is a Latina-owned business. It is focused on people who have autism, helping kids with autism. And the Vice President is going to meet with the business owner here, with the head of the Small Business Administration, who's actually from Southern California herself, to talk about small businesses, to talk about inflation, and to talk about jobs. And that is one of the big issues that the Biden administration is talking about with this Summit of the Americas. The Vice President has been here for several days already. She's been talking mostly about Central American countries. Remember, she was tasked with trying to figure out some of the root causes of migration and illegal immigration from the Northern Triangle countries. And that is something that's been a focus, especially for this summit. The Summit of the Americas is all of the Western Hemisphere countries, with a real focus on countries from Central America, South America, and so a lot of Spanish-speaking countries that are here for this. And so Kamala Harris has been a big part of that, as the president will be. The president, who we are waiting to come out, is going to be heading to a big inaugural event tonight. which is happening at the Microsoft Theater, where he is going to be appearing with the Vice President, the First Lady. Also, Governor Newsom is going to be speaking at that. Mayor Garcetti is going to be speaking at that. All the world leaders are going to be there. There's going to be a bunch of musical acts as well. A big performance. We were out in downtown LA earlier where they were rehearsing for it. You could hear some of the music, and you also could see the extraordinary security that is in place in downtown LA, all around downtown LA as well. The only way we're going to be able to get there is by riding with Vice President Harris's motorcade, which makes traffic not so much of an issue. So as we look right now, you see that they are preparing for President Biden to come out. I expect him to wave. He will be meeting Governor Newsom on the tarmac there. The last time and the only time that Joe Biden has been in California while he was president was with Governor Newsom. If you remember, he came here the day before the recall election. They were campaigning together in Long Beach. They walked up and down Air Force One together then. That's the one and only time that he's been here as president. This will be certainly his longest stay as president. The president will be here tonight, tomorrow night, Friday night, and going to be leaving Saturday morning as well. But Bob, as you mentioned, you've been out there, I'm sure. I've been out there. Kaylee is right now. Whoever the president is, Air Force One is extraordinary to see, and it's an awe-inspiring moment about being an American.
I was just saying, you know, you and I, we've had an opportunity, and you've probably seen more Air Force Ones land there at LAX than I have. It is always so cool to see and very awe-inspiring, as you say. Haley Winslow now experiencing this for the first time. Haley, what are you seeing? I know all eyes now on the doorway, waiting for the president to descend down that stairway. Certainly some dignitaries there waiting down below.
Yes, Bobby, the president is about to walk down the stairs in just a minute. At the bottom of the stairs, you probably see Governor Newsom, Mayor Garcetti, and their wives and kids. So there's probably about 36 people on the tarmac, and probably about the same number of reporters right behind them. They do have the doors open now to Marine One and the decoy, so they are expecting to fly President Joe Biden from Air Force One to Hollywood, where he will first take the Jimmy Kimmel show and then go to the Microsoft Theater to do the welcoming remarks for the 9th Summit of the Americas. Pretty incredible day, and just amazing to think about all of the powerful leaders in Los Angeles this week. Not only, of course, the governor, the president, the vice president, the first lady, but also all of the leaders from all the other countries represented here for the Western Hemisphere for this conference. It's really, really remarkable. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of Secret Service. They have 3 more helicopters you can't see right here. They're on the side of the hangar. Those are the Ospreys, and those will also carry more Secret Service to Hollywood and then to the Microsoft Theater in downtown Los Angeles. Traffic will be a problem if you are heading around town today. Be aware that you're going to probably experience delays no matter what you do, whether you take public transport or you're driving yourself. So it's going to pretty much be an issue all week. But again, the president expected to walk down the stairs in the front of Air Force One. This 232-foot 747 has served 5 presidents, and President Biden will be walking down the stairs and waving any minute now. They've already gotten everybody else off of the plane, it looks like, from the back.
You know, a couple of observations that I'm making just looking at this, Haley, and a couple of things that we should think about is, you know, this is the day after the primary. So there's Governor Newsom really on the heels of a really big win. He will be going to the general election now, of course, just months after he survived a recall election very soundly, I should say. And there they are with their families. And then you've got Mayor Eric Garcetti, who after the, will soon no longer be mayor, and is still sort of trying to figure out whether or not he will be the next ambassador to India. Still has to go through a confirmation process, but that looks like it's going to be a very challenging road for him. So still an uncertain future for Mayor Eric Garcetti there. But there you see the military down below at the end of the stairwell. President Biden will certainly be saluting them as he makes his way down. As you said, there's at least 2 helicopters there. Once the president then goes over to the helicopter, that becomes Marine One. Now, in the past, having covered some of these presidential arrivals before, the president sometimes takes that flight to Rancho Park, and then will go make his way over to Hollywood. As you said, he does have an appearance with Jimmy Kimmel later this afternoon. Let's bring in Alex Michelson, who's standing by there in Monrovia. He's also watching things. Alex, what comes to mind when you look at this?
Well, what comes to mind, Bobby, is the fact that Governor Newsom brought his kids, which is not something that he does very often to very many things. It is rare that they are part of this. He has talked to me in the past about calls that he's made with both President Trump and President Biden, where he's actually brought his kids into the room to hear it and to experience it. And so it's something that they are there with him at a public event like this. And then you also see, I think Mayor Garcetti, I'm not sure if he's there with his daughter. I don't think so. But it shows the significance of this moment. And the governor has talked about the fact that he wants them to learn about American history and how lucky they are to be in this position. And so he will be introducing them to the President of the United States momentarily.
Very cool. Very cool. And yeah, I was just saying to Haley, like, as you look at this, it's just a day after the primary, right? So we now know he's going to be going to the general election. It's expected, of course. We knew that this was, it almost was a fait accompli that was going to happen, but it just so happens that this is the day after the primary day, so there he is, sort of, you know, in the victory glow.
Yeah, a primary that he didn't even have a victory party for last night because he was so confident. He put out a tweet that was more about the national political landscape that had many of us wondering if he was more focused on that plane that he's looking at right now than maybe some of what's happening in Sacramento. Of course, it's long been thought of that the governor is interested in a presidential run himself. Every time you ask him about that, he says 1,000 times that that's not true. But he's made a lot of moves lately where he's been talking a whole lot more about national issues than he has been about local issues, and one wonders when he looks at that plane if that's something that he may want to ride on as the president one day.
Here he is, Alex.
Here comes
the president there at the top of the stairs, making his way down, Air Force One. President Biden will be here just a couple of days, and there he is. I'm going to be greeted by Governor Newsom and also Mayor Eric Garcetti, along with Governor Newsom's children. Haley.
Yes, he just walked down the stairs, and you can see him talking to their families, to the mayor and to the governor. Of course, he is in town to host this 9th summit to talk about really the pressing issues facing all of our lives, climate change, COVID-19, economic prosperity. He will be here through Saturday, and you can see him right now hugging the kids and saying hello before he jumps into what will become Marine One and head over to Hollywood.
All right, yeah, he's heading over to Hollywood again. In past presidential visits, we know that the president often boards onto Marine One. There's usually more than one helicopter, so if you're there on the west side and you look up in the sky, you'll see those helicopters often landing somewhere in the Rancho Park area. So if you're anywhere on the west side, they have these rolling closures, and I've been caught in them before. The Secret Service really doesn't detail where exactly the president is going to be at any specific time. So oftentimes you're there on Olympic or you're there on Pico and you're wondering, why is traffic stopped? Why are we not moving for any length of time here? And it really is because they're closing all of the traffic there so that the president can land there. And then he jumps into a motorcade and then will make his way over to Jimmy Kimmel. That appearance is going to be at 2:40 this afternoon, local time, and of course it's going to be aired tonight on Late Night with Jimmy Kimmel. But
here comes the vice president.
Apparently he's going to be, according to Jimmy Kimmel, talk about some serious policy stuff, things that are weighing heavily on his shoulders, no doubt issues like gun control and those sorts of things. But if you talk to people on the other side, they're saying he's coming here talking politics, and he's talking to a venue that will be throwing softball questions at him, an easy venue for him to be talking policy questions. All right, and on the other side of the screen, lots of moving parts here, lots of world leaders here and dignitaries in Los Angeles because of the Summit of the Americas. That's Alex Michelson's picture on the left-hand side of your screen in Monrovia, where he has been shadowing Vice President Kamala Harris, and her motorcade is now arriving. Alex, what can you tell us what's going on there?
Yeah. It's quite, yeah, I mean, to see both these pictures at the same time, it's unusual for both of them to be here at the same time. The Vice President just arriving here just moments ago. We see her, and this is all the security that travels with her. A motorcade that's frankly about half as long as the motorcade is for the President of the United States, which will soon be driving through the streets of Southern California. It is impressive, though, to watch all of this move in action. The Vice President will be speaking here soon. And as we look at that image of President Biden, it is a reminder of Joe Biden at his core is a dad. And as core is a people person who is charged by interacting with people. He's been mocked over the years for the fact that he does love a good hug and likes to get close to people and likes to, have a real, personal interaction with everybody that he deals with. President Obama used to mock the fact that when he was working a rope line, Joe Biden would be 5 or 6 people behind because he enjoyed it so much. And you see that happening right here. And you think about the fact that during COVID, for the last several years, Joe Biden has really been sidelined. They talked about how he ran for president from his basement just for safety reasons. So you can see how happy he is to be around people, especially to be around children. And you see that happening right there as he's spending a good amount of time with the governor, the mayor, and with the governor's children there as well.
That is definitely his style, Alex. I remember covering him during the campaign and throughout his visits here to Southern California, and he would go through areas, let's say East LA. I remember him going through a restaurant there, and yes, he was, pretty touchy-feely, really getting to know the people. In fact, his entourage, they had to literally peel him away from people. Otherwise, he would spend way too much time talking to the restaurant owners, to the families, and he really wanted to spend time with people. So yes, this is something that you could say that the president is pretty good at, is getting personal with his constituents and also just with people and his friends. All right, Haley, looks like the president is on the move.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, President Joe Biden now walking with his granddaughter Naomi and her fiance towards Marine One, and they will be flying in Marine One. Of course, we have the decoy behind them, and they'll be flying to Hollywood. Naomi and her fiance planning a White House wedding in November. They're obviously in town. First Lady Dr. Jill Biden already here, and as well as the Vice President Kamala Harris. So President Biden getting on Marine One right now. There was an issue with whether they're going to be able to fly. There was the limos are also on the tarmac as a backup, but I would say probably 50 people as well. All eyes on the president as he gets in Marine One, heads to Hollywood to tape Jimmy Kimmel Live, and then heads over to the Microsoft Theater to do the welcoming remarks for the 9th Summit of the Americas.
All right, as we watch the president then get into Marine One, I think we're gonna take it as it lifts off here. Again, I believe he's going to be going somewhere to the west side and then on his way to Hollywood for the 2:40 taping with Jimmy Kimmel. I want to bring in Alex again to sort of like put all of this into perspective for us. First of all, we're talking about this long itinerary, which does include when the president comes in town, a big fundraiser on Friday, right? That it almost certainly when the president comes to town or comes to California, you're dipping into that cash register for the DNC, so we know that's going to happen. But tell us about this summit and what's going to happen here and why this is critical when it comes to the administration and also for the foreign policy.
Yes, it's kind of amazing that Joe Biden has gone this long without coming to California for a fundraiser. To your point, presidents of both parties have often come here with that in mind. The summit is bringing together world leaders focused on the Western Hemisphere. There's not going to be the president from Mexico, Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela, Mexican president boycotting the summit because he was upset that those other leaders were not invited. The American president saying that they have human rights violations and they didn't warrant an invitation. But they're going to be talking about issues like migration, issues like climate change. Expect some big announcements in terms of investments in the region. Some new climate goals will be announced. Some new partnerships when it comes to trying to stop some of the illegal immigration flow. So all of that is expected to be over the next few days. There's going to be a lot of different meetings back and forth. Governor Newsom himself is going to be meeting with Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, tomorrow to announce an agreement between Canada and California when it comes to climate issues. So all of that is going to be happening in the next few days, and including a meeting from the Vice President, which I'm now about to walk into. So I'm going to have to leave you, Bobby, but thank you so much, and we'll talk more at 5 o'clock.
It's going to be a busy couple of days for you, Alex, there with all of those leaders in town. And now you see the rotors are moving, and shortly we will see now Marine One move toward the west side, and the president now in Los Angeles will be making his way to his first visit, and that will be Jimmy Kimmel there in Hollywood. Haley, this was your first presidential arrival. Watching that from the tarmac, anything you can, any perspective from you?
I'm just surprised at how big Air Force One was. I mean, you hear that it's 232 feet, but to see it in person really is pretty remarkable. It's just a neat thing to be part of, again, to think about all of these powerful leaders really from the Western Hemisphere, from our own state and community, all here in Los Angeles this week. It's pretty neat. As you see the president inside Marine One, and the wheels get ready to pull up and take him to Hollywood to do the really LA thing to do, right? Get on Jimmy Kimmel. It's pretty neat. And to think about all of the things that they hopefully accomplish, most importantly, at this summit. So we will keep you updated. Tune in at 5 o'clock.
We will, for sure. We're going to watch your report at 5 o'clock. So the president is in town. He will be here through Friday. Expect traffic tie-ups anywhere in downtown, rolling closures throughout likely the west side as the president will be moving about. And yes, this is a big deal with the Summit of the Americas and 23 different countries represented from the Western Hemisphere. Lots of different policy decisions could be made here, so lots of news to be had. We will have full coverage tonight on the Fox 11 News at 5 o'clock, and of course keep you up to date on everything when it comes to the president's arrival and the Summit of the Americas. We'll bring you back to your regular program.
Each playing with a pair of contestant partners. Their